Hello everybody and welcome to another episode in the Celtic Now and to our podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford. Joining me in the podcast this week as usual is co-host Robert Boyle, and also joining us this week is Lisa Sloan.
Hi.
Robert, how's things, mate? Obviously we were on yesterday. A lot of news kind of the last few days as well came up to speak about with Lisa. How are you, mate?
Aye, okay, Ryan, yourself?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Obviously yourself, Lisa, your first time on, how are you?
I'm a bit nervous, but it's all good.
Nothing to nervous about, you're in good company. Obviously yourself, Lisa, first time on. How's obviously at the moment we can't get to the stadium? How's it obviously been for you watching it for the side, and obviously can't get to the games and vent your frustrations? How's it been? You know, with the lockdown.
It's definitely been strange watching it from home. I mean, missing it so much. It's like I didn't even realise how much I needed to go. Like, so good for your mental health when you're doing the things you love. But I've definitely felt it. Not being able to go. My weekends are dragging in.
I think obviously the mental health part is a big part of it. I think during the full lockdown,
Absolutely.
Football definitely helps it. I don't think obviously the government bodies need to do, but I think they do need to try and get fans in as maybe, obviously you want to kind of do things slowly, which won't happen, but I think maybe getting a few fans in, if it helps 2 or 3 people getting a bit of, as you said, a bit of your weekend sorted, then it's obviously going to help in the future.
It's everything. It's something you had every weekend. That was my weekend, Celtic. And it's not there, and obviously we're not playing great then, and it's not been that great.
Obviously as well, Robert, the lockdown, we all kind of get to the pub, so we're all venting our frustrations, and it's, as Lisa says, it's something, the mental health aspect, obviously with football and got to watch Celtic, it's not been good on mental health this season with how bad they've been.
No, it's people's livelihood, Ryan. People dedicate their life to it. It's meeting family, meeting friends, going to football, socialising, going to the pub. It's everything to a lot of people. And as you say, it's not the same as sitting in the house and watching it on the TV and lockdown, because you can't socialise with people. You can't do the things you do. Even just maybe it's a day out to people coming from far afield, maybe coming over to Ireland, coming from England. It's everything to people, definitely.
Especially as you say, people coming from Ireland, they're spending a lot of money in flights, and that is what they kind of maybe look up to all week. Obviously, like us as well, that's what you look up to Saturday football day. But obviously they're coming from afar, and it is a lot of effort for them to come over and support Celtic. But obviously, Lisa, when obviously you're a big Celtic fan, when did you kind of start getting into the Celtic family when you were younger? Was it through family, or did you just take it upon yourself to be a Celtic fan?
All my family support Rangers.
All right, okay.
Like my dad's no, I was never ever brought up like with my dad teaching me about Celtic. My mum's a big Ayr fan, so when I was younger, I had a season ticket for United. Went with my mum, we went home and away, but then obviously I started noticing Celtic when I was getting a wee bit older. Folk at my school were like, they were supporting Celtic, and I was curious. So I'd seen them in the telly, and then it was the year we stopped 9 in a row. I was 14 that year, and that was my first year getting my season ticket, and the Jockstein stand opened. So I've not looked back since I was 14. But it
was obviously a good time to start being a Celtic fan then.
My sister, she supported Celtic. She played football when she was younger. She played for Scotland, so there was always football on in my house, always. But I'd say my sister was the one that kind of, she tipped me.
What was your good memories at Lisa? I stopped 10 in a row.
I was that game that we stopped 10 in a row. I was at Ayr United. We played Partick Thistle, and Ayr United. It was, they were playing. They had to win to not get relegated. So, but 10 in a row. Obviously, I was just watching the telly. I wasn't there, but I'll always remember that day, always. And obviously that season after was my first season, and it was amazing. Like, it was all my dreams come true going to... Obviously, I'd been to a couple of games before I'd got my ticket, but it was... Okay, it's every young lassie's dream, really. They say that, and it's like...
When we stopped 10 in a row, I was about 11 or 12, and I think I was about 12. 12, I think I was, and we decided, me and my mate were going to run on the park because everybody was doing it, and we picked the fattest steward in the road.
You couldn't get back.
Before we'd get by him.
He's not catching.
I didn't take it in that much at the time, but I just remember picking bits of the grass up and putting it in my pocket to try and save it.
I did that when we went on a tour.
Save it as if I was going to get home and I was going to plant this. Whole Celtic part. I don't know what I was thinking, but it's just your emotions of a young boy thinking that's what you have to do. It's funny just that you said that there.
That's amazing. That has a bit of memory in it. Taking the grass. I've never actually picked the grass up, but I did play in it, so that's my claim to fame. I played in Celtic Park, so I've done one better than you there. I think earliest memories. It's obviously growing up, Lisa, was for that to be one of your earliest memories. It's a very, very good start to obviously being a Celtic supporter. Because again, obviously we're trying to win 10 this year, and for maybe people growing up and they're seeing this and thinking, oh, we're going to get 10, and it's obviously failed, Robert, hasn't it? And obviously, so you've had the good start to your Celtic.
I know these young ones don't realise what they go through.
No, definitely not.
My daughter's
when you were bowling Celtic, who was your heroes then?
Well, that was that Paolo Di Canio time. Absolutely adored him, and Simon Donnelly. He was my hero at the time. Obviously, Larsson's everybody's hero, but
do you remember Larsson's first 2 games?
Yes. Everybody was calling. Imagine Twitter was about then.
Oh,
I know. His European game, he scored an own goal.
Yeah,
he was line. And then Chick Charnley will live forever. He'll never hit a ball like that in his life. He would never have hit another ball like that in his life again, Charnley. But as you say, imagine Twitter nowadays, if Larsson made them mistakes, my God, cunts screaming for him to go.
I actually remember watching that game. I think it was remember Dixon's in the high street. They sold tellies and stuff. You remember too? They always had the football, and then I must have been in there on the Saturday afternoon watching that, and I was like, oh, absolutely gutted. And I'm like, I hate this guy already.
1-2 that day, didn't they?
Aye.
Again, that just shows you like how quick these days we are to judge a player, because obviously back then, as you say, Lisa, that if Twitter and Facebook and whatever else was available, after 2 or 3 games, Larsson would have been probably binned. And I think maybe
that's a big thing right now. We're too quick to slate players, and you obviously forget these players are going to come on social media and see what folk are writing about them.
Yeah.
Imagine having to go to your work knowing folk think, oh, this and that. It is a bad thing. It is a bad thing.
So I think that's something. It's something I think we spoke about it with one of our podcasts with Sam Wardrobe, who've obviously played with Celtic. And that's what he basically says. He says social media can be a good thing. He says, but players sometimes have been told now to don't even look at social media after a game. You get home, because you know you're going to. You can say one good game, you can get all the praise in the world, but then as soon as you make one bad pass or you make one bad tackle, you're basically you're slated, and that's finished for the club. He says so. Players now have been told to kind of stay off it for a while and only.
It's easy, but you know they're going to go home and have all what they're saying about me, because you know Lee Griffiths does it. So how many he's doing there, and it's social media. For him.
You go on the Air Michael Davitt bus?
Davitt.
The
Davitt bus? I don't know.
that?
Good few years. It was 8 or 9 in a row before that. But Jimmy's dead, so he retired a wee while ago. We were only, that was most of my memories are for the 8 or 9 in a row bus. I was like 14, 15, steaming up the back of the bus. Can't remember half the games.
How do you feel staying in there and that and try to get to European games? Is it a lot of hassle during the week and that?
The European, no, well, it just depends. Obviously, it's a late night and an early start, so I think the bus would normally leave at 5:30 if we're on a midweek game. And sometimes you're getting back at 12. It just depends how quickly you're getting out the bus park. If you take the car, look, it's all worth it. Just depends. Sometimes you can go home quickly, but
yeah,
it's a school night. It's hard.
Hard for me now. I'll face Celtic Park, so band.
Oh, we're used to it.
But especially as well when it's, if you have a few drinks as well, if you're working the next day, it must be hard.
You can't. You just can't do it. Not when you're working the next day.
What's your all-time favourite Celtic player, Lisa?
Everybody's going to say Larson. Larson.
I have somebody else.
Isam, I know, but whenever anybody asks me,
Larson, out with Larson, who's your favourite player?
I don't know, honestly. Mr. Dembele, I loved him. But Paul McStay, he's probably Tommy Burns.
Right.
The legends.
I think Paul McStay's been quite most people who have had on, they've kind of, maybe people who are a lot older than me, they've kind of mentioned Paul McStay, and they've kind of made they're not saying David Turnbull's like Paul McStay, but they've made wee things like that was the way kind of started his Celtic career. He was brilliant, he's always getting involved in stuff, and they're saying maybe Turnbull could be a player like that in the future.
Really excited for Turnbull.
Definitely. I think they're completely different players, if you ask me.
Oh, they are.
Paul McStay was a drive in the middle of the park.
Mm-hmm. He was when he was mayor of Scott Brown.
Aye, but he was brilliant at it. You know what I mean? A driving force. I loved him and John Collins when I was growing up. I loved John Collins because he used to wear the Predator boots and score.
No, John Collins isn't my favourite person in the world. I don't know. He just annoys me. I think.
But I'm just saying, growing up, that was.
I know what you mean.
I actually quite like John Collins, to be fair. See the way he talks about football. I think he's
very. He is. He's very knowledgeable.
Obviously, I don't really know him as a guy, but I think when it comes to the football side, I think I'd actually like to talk to him about football because I think he's very knowledgeable, as he says, and I think it'd be a very interesting chat with him just to get his views on football, because I think when you see him on Sky or when you listen to the radio, he actually talks really good.
Yeah, he's fair.
Obviously, it's Celtic. Some Celtic fans have got their opinions on him because when he was here and whatever, but if you take that away, I think he was. My opinion is that I've not really get much against him. I think he's a very good. His football, I think he'd be an asset to a club. I'm not saying to Celtic, but I think he'd be an asset. I know he says he doesn't really want to do it in Scotland anymore, but I think he'd be an asset to a club in his football knowledge and obviously what he knows in the game.
I agree. Definitely.
Because obviously, Robert, when he was here at Celtic, he was obviously big on fitness. And again, we don't know these days. Some players don't like getting told what to do, and maybe that was the reason why maybe Lenny failed in his second spell here. And well, he didn't really fail, but he failed this season. But there's a way to talk to players, and obviously maybe him and Dyer, some players didn't go with him, and maybe Dyer was too nice. And again, that's the balance between the management again, Robert, that maybe this year's failed in.
See, you're saying that he was really big in fitness, but I think, was that no when we were actually pretty unfit? When we were blown out with us after half an hour.
I think he tried to play the high pressing game, didn't he? Ronnie and John Collins. But again, he had a revolt at Hibs, didn't he? The Hibs players didn't like. He was meant to be pulling his tap up and showing him 6 packs and all this stuff. I don't know. everybody's football now. There's too many people with different ideas and different philosophies, and not everybody gets it. That's just modern football, unfortunately. Some people will be fitness, some people will right into coaching. I don't know. Maybe that's, you need a bit of everything, I think, in the modern game. No, I think that's what.
Right, you definitely do. We need whatever Brendan Rodgers had. That's definitely.
Definitely. I think that's just the professionalism of Brendan Rodgers. I think that's what you need back. I think now the players aren't playing as a team. I think there's a lot of individuals in the Celtic squad.
Aye, I agree.
Is on that, Lisa?
I think Neil Lennon took a lot. Obviously, he's going to take all the flack for it. He picked the team, but the team let him down. Definitely. We have not played to our ability, and I know there's been COVID. I would say COVID's affected us more this season than any other club. For some reason, I don't know. I don't know why. We're unfit. We're lacking motivation. It's... I don't know. I don't know why it's affected us more. It's definitely a mindset.
Aye.
The fans not being there has been major for us. And more so than... I don't get it. I don't...
I've kind of said that, and a lot of people who are listening on the live feeds always say, and obviously in the media they say that the fans, and it's not really a big deal. You're not using it as an excuse, but it is a big deal. You've had other managers and players saying it, that when Rangers were nothing each after half an hour, they were getting absolutely lambasted. When Celtic are doing after half an hour, it's fine.
Aye.
When we get to the last half an hour, right, come on.
That's it.
Get each other up. So for me, I definitely agree with you that everything's, as I've said to Robert before, Lisa, that everything that could have went wrong this season has went wrong.
It has.
And it's something that it's frustrating as fans watching it, because you know, as you says, how good individually they are, and they're not doing what they should be doing on paper.
That's it.
And it's frustrating, especially when you can't go to the games.
Aye, they wouldn't last a minute if we were there.
What, on your European games, Lisa, what's your best one you've ever played and why?
Best one, obviously, Barcelona. Amazing when we beat Barcelona. Man United, when we beat Man United for last 16. Nakamura. Nobody ever forgets that. That was amazing.
The penalty save was brilliant, wasn't it, with Boric?
Aye. After Boric was amazing.
What was yours, Ryan?
It's probably going to sound, maybe, I'm maybe going to talk for a football side. The best one I would probably say it would be the one PSG beat us, but just on their performance. See,
we won 1-9.
I'll talk about that in a minute, but see when it comes to just performance-wise.
You know they get beat 5-1.
No, I know, but just for a football side, mate, that was...
Really enjoyed getting beat.
It was amazing to watch, just to take my guys from the park. Even I think that's why, as much as we don't want to get beat in Europe, but that's why we strive as fans to, when we get to that level, because you're seeing that quality, and obviously you're going to see Celtic, but you don't see that type of quality every week. I'll probably say, for maybe in terms of atmosphere, I would say that the game we drew for each went to Milan. That was brilliant. That was one of the games where I thought I love this. It was brilliant. The atmosphere was superb. And again, there was a player in that day, John Guidetti, who I actually rated quite highly. I know he was a bit full of himself. I don't know what you think of Guidetti at his time, Lisa, but that game for me was when maybe Armstrong came to the fore, and I thought he was brilliant in that game. But I thought that was a really good performance. And again, we were unlucky not to qualify. We made it earlier. We were unlucky to only beat 1-0, so didn't we? It was a very hard game. But I'd probably say, but when it comes to atmosphere and the performance, I think that was a really good game for me. And again, John Guidetti, a guy who I thought done well, and then obviously Dyer said, if you're not going to stay, then I'm not going to play you.
I know, it's sad when you lose players like that.
I'm going to be sad as fuck here, right? the one I liked was Juventus 4-3 at home. And that was
Aye.
a year ago. I feel old. 20 years ago. That was.
Was that a year ago?
I know what it was, Lisa. I was on Twitter the day and it came up a memory it, and it showed George in it again. And I thought that's the best game I've ever been to, just because Juventus were unbelievable at the time. We had Del Piero, Trezeguet, Thuram, Buffon, Cannavaro, I think it was at the back. Oh, they were ready to go and win Europe and beat them. And Moravcik was outstanding that game and something in that. Oh, best game. That's the best game I've been at Celtic Park, just for atmosphere and drama.
That team are always going to bring you good memories.
Aye.
Like that Sutton team, aye. They do remind you of the good times, definitely.
See, that's something that obviously we speak about a lot, don't we? That we always when it comes to obviously the current squad and defensively we're quite lightweight, and we always revert back to how we might have known the best of football players, Mialbi and Baldi, Haran and Varga, but they were solid and they were, as we can say, they were men.
Aye.
They were proper men.
Aye, Big Bobo. That we had the best defence. Alan Stubbs, Bobo, Mialbi. When you look back, see if we could have players like that now. We don't.
You don't seem to get men in football now, do you? It's young boys. Neil Winnan made that one of the best quotes I've ever heard, and he says, "I remember dealing with men in their 20s. Now he says I'm dealing with boys in their 30s," and I thought it was really. I think
they're all spoiled rotten.
It's
money. It does it to them, isn't it? It's
too much money too young. I think that's what's wrong.
That's what I know. It's like they're all above themselves in there. That's why there's no atmosphere. It's just money they're playing for.
When it comes to the English game, obviously I don't know your thoughts on that, Lisa, but I watched, I can't remember what game I watched all night. Was it Chelsea Man U?
Aye.
Absolutely hopeless. And yeah, and then if Celtic played Hamilton, people were like, I'd rather watch that all day long than that, because it's pure overhyped.
I love that fast pace that we've got up here. Like down there, it's just like I've said, there's no atmosphere.
It's just boring, isn't it? Again, and that's I generally think the fans, we are up here, even if it's Johnston fans, Kilmarnock, whatever it is, they're proper passionate fans. But down there, it's just money.
It's different because we're not playing for money. We don't have the money that they've got, so it is different for us, definitely.
Because again, I don't know, but it's your game gets slaughtered up here, and I can see why it does. I can see why it does, but for me, Robert, I'd rather watch Dundee United derby than I would Man U and sometimes Man City, because as much as they are quality players, they don't play it as a derby.
I don't like English football. I don't think it's spectacular. As you said, it's all money and tactics over tactic. The game from boring draws. When was the last time you watched a big game? Liverpool in the cup, because they've kind of played a lot of youth players, was expansive football and gone at each other. A lot of them just become boring each draws. And it's money, and I don't really like the English Premier League. I liked it when I was younger, but I mean, like Chelsea, Man United, we would just say that's about 1.5 billion worth of squads.
That's crazy, man.
And they go and play a ball in each draw. What is that? To me, this is what I get about modern football, right? Say, for instance, Man U have spent best part of 500 million, right? And they go to Man City, who's maybe spent 500 million, and they go there with a squad worth 500 million, 600 million, and go for a nut in each draw, and think that's something to... That's not ability. You know what I mean? That shouldn't be... When you've got a squad of players with that talent and that much money, you shouldn't feed anybody. You should go to anybody's ground and go toe-to-toe with them and be able to beat them. I don't feel that they do that in modern football.
But see, that's what I was saying about Frimpong the other day when he was saying at we don't win every game, we don't have the entitlement to win every game. Like, that's definitely an English league. We'll no win every game, we'll no do this, but that's not how it works up here. we are expected to win every game, so it is that there's a lot of pressure on the players when they come here because they do need to try and win every game.
Definitely. I felt the young boy, he's saying it brought out of context. I thought what he meant is we can't win every game.
Obviously, you can't.
I think, and it just, because of this season and what it means, he's not realised what he's saying, if you know what I mean. I think they've asked him a question, he's thought, Celtic have won the last 12 trophies. They've made the divine right to win every single trophy.
No, we don't, and that's what's wrong with us. We do think we do think the divine right.
And I think that's what the wee guy kind of meant, but obviously, you know, it's like you say one thing and it gets twisted 300 times and it gets put on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then people just see the.
That's true.
But a lot of people saying that he shouldn't have been at us then if that's his fucking way of thinking.
But then I don't think
in the world's like Celtic, and that man, you need to win every single game, and it's a lot of pressure. And I think a lot of people's mentality is, if you've not got that winning mentality, then you'll not be at Celtic. You'll not last long. You can be the best talent in the world, but if you've not got the winning mentality and the desire and the will to win, then you're not used to Celtic.
That's
because obviously my thoughts on the Frimpong we spoke about yesterday, Robert. I do agree maybe his comments were took out of context, but as I say, I don't know if you agree with it as well, Lisa, but if that's maybe the attitude, I know I understand we're the divine right to win any game. You need to go and put the effort in and you need to work hard and win the game. But if the attitude of the team this year was we might not win the league this year, or we might not do this, for me, might's not good enough. You've got to go into every game thinking you need to win every game.
I don't think they realise just how much this season meant to us. Obviously, a lot of players haven't realised, but then there's a lot of Celtic boys in there, like who should know. Scott Brown should be drilling that into their heads.
Aye, 100%. Especially if he's a captain in the club, and yet for me, see, because obviously we spoke about earlier, said that Celtic have not got somebody in place to learn the foreigners English. That's no place at Celtic. I don't know if it is down south. I think it is, but so guys like Barkas have come in, don't know the area. They can't amalgamate. Going for a coffee. They can't. So by having somebody like that would maybe help. So maybe Scott Brown should be take these guys. I think saying, listen, this season's massive. Maybe he's got to take it upon himself as the captain. But again, that's not his job in a way. But it is have a Celtic man to drill into these players. Not just how big the season is, but how big playing for Celtic is in general. Which
Definitely.
Is massive. It's something I think you signings need to know. Obviously, I don't know what your thoughts is on the recruitment side this season, but again, I don't know if the players really knew what they were coming into this season.
No, everybody's going to talk about Barkas, aren't they? It's like biggest waste of money. But Neil Lennon's obviously got a recruitment had a recruitment. But something's went wrong this season, recruitment-wise, definitely.
It's too many.
Far too many.
We've got too big a squad.
Overbloated again.
There's too many dead players in your squad. And I do think Lee Griffiths will go at the end of the season.
I think, who would you like to see in, Lisa, coming in as manager?
Somebody that's no Celtic related. Nobody from Scotland. No Steve Clark. We need somebody fresh with fresh ideas that's coming in. Eddie Howe obviously has been mentioned.
Don't you get right excited?
No, do you like Eddie? Aye, he would be my number one, definitely.
Eddie's man. He's man.
Managers.
You like Eddie?
I've said Michael O'Neill is a realistic.
Aye.
Graham Potter for Brighton is a realistic option. Who else did we say, Ryan?
What do you mean by realistic?
I don't feel. Me personally, I don't think Celtic will go for a Benitez, a Martinez, and an Eddie Howe. I don't think they will. I would love them to.
I think we'll go for somebody Gerrard.
What?
I think we'll go for somebody Gerrard style because I don't think we're that type of club that needs to.
I just feel what we want is they'll give us something just less. That's what I feel.
Mm.
I feel the managers of Eddie Howe, Benitez and Martinez is maybe looking at 25-30 million to spend. Whereas
Whoever thought this would come though?
Steve Clark along these lines will need demand. You know what I mean? They will need demand such a heavy transfer kitty. That's what I feel.
Well, new board, obviously, it'll be different. He's going to try and impress the fans this season.
You know, I hope to God it's no through no wanting it. I just feel they'll no splash the cash as much as we hope. Just
I hope
I'm wrong.
Hope you're wrong.
Definitely.
Aye, for me, I think that's what I don't know your opinion on it as well, Lisa, but I've always says as well, like people are saying, I totally understand what Robert said, but people out with Celtic are saying Celtic can't get this guy, they can't get this guy, and I'm like, all you need to do is ask.
I know.
All you can do is ask the question. If you say no, they say no, then move on to the next target.
I think you're right there.
All you need, people are saying they can't afford Benitez, probably can't he? But if you give him a package which might entice him in, I don't know.
Exactly, they can come here and make a name for themselves and move on to something bigger.
Similar to the way Rodgers came.
Aye.
Obviously, he was already a big name, but he made himself out the shop one day for a better club.
That he put himself back out there again, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's worked well for him. So I do get that, and I would love that. I don't know. I hope Celtic will get something up their sleeve and nobody else knows. But there's all these rumours about we're going to, after the Rangers game at Celtic Park, this is when they're going to announce the new manager or whatever, or what's happening with Celtic. But I don't know. I think it needs to happen sooner rather than later because there's a lot of work needing done.
What's your thoughts on John Kennedy?
I think he's part of the problem. Him and Gavin Stratton. I think when it goes, they should have all went. But
definitely. Accountable or not, definitely.
Obviously, in the situation, maybe they're going for a guy who doesn't want to come in till the end of the season. Maybe there's a guy in the wings that goes, nah, I'm not coming in to take care of somebody else's squad or somebody else's team. I'll stick and assess it and then go in the summer. I don't know. But I think I watched the game on Saturday and nothing was any better. Nothing. It was more or less like for like, wasn't it? I think he's part of the problem, and Gavin Stratton.
But see, when Lennon did come in and take this job, that he did take a step back and say it was John Kennedy, pick the team, take the team. So
never have took a job on the terms he wasn't allowed his own backroom staff.
Aye, I know.
You seen the thing with Tommy Johnson saying that he was meant to be ear-picked and Lennon wanted him in and Peter Lawwell stoked it?
I don't get that at all.
I don't get it myself. Is that because Alan Thompson was with Lennon the last time and he ended up winning the drink and Lawwell sat? I don't know. Lawwell had power for too long, I think.
Mm-hmm. Aye.
On the financial side of things, he interrupted the football side and the progress of that too often.
We've always been known as the reading the biscuit tin, though, haven't we? It's like we shouldn't be like that.
Nah, exactly. Especially with the money that's been invested into the club.
I know.
The fans and
done great things. You can't when you look at the difference in Celtic Park and the Celtic and things like that. That's all been great, but we definitely need to.
At least, but when the product on the park isn't there, that all means nothing.
And that's when you think, like, a new manager, is it just too little too late? Whoever comes in is like kind of a kick in the teeth if we were to win next season.
But I know that I would take this season, right? We know this season's been a disaster, but maybe it's the boot up the arse that we've needed as a club. We've been too arrogant and too. We've been too arrogant. Too blinded by what's happening across the water. We just need to.
We were lucky last.
Open your eyes to what's happening about you, and I don't feel we've done that.
Be tired of him.
No.
I totally agree with you when it comes to the board. Some fans maybe need to take a step back and go, listen, I know bits and bobs they've really kind of failed, but if you actually look at the full kind of impact of what they've done, they've been very successful. You've got to, obviously we understand we've got a lot of frustration with the board, but
yeah.
It comes to different transfers, McGinn's and Tony's and whatever else, and Tom and Johnson and all one, no can in. So what other stuff has been happening? But if you look at the outset, Lawwell been good for Celtic, you'd probably say aye. As much as it might hurt people to say aye, he probably has been decent for Celtic, but he's maybe outstayed his welcome 2 or 3 years, maybe I would say, Lisa.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I think if we'd had that change back then we wouldn't be in this position now. It's sad.
But was he hanging off to get the big sponsorship deal with Adidas? Was he part of the plan on that?
Well, he's obviously going to gain at it, but it's not done us any good. Adidas, is it? It's just been like a cut.
Well,
we were all that.
Fifth largest sales of Adidas's thing last year.
Really?
Aye.
Definitely be rubbing their hands with us, but it's not done us any good.
That's all you seen, Matt. Was people
And
pre-ordering.
it was like the 5th largest sale in Adidas's history or something, or Adidas's was Celtic, and it sold out everywhere. Remember the Celtic shop had to order these months it was out of stock. So I think that side Adidas done all right, but I don't know if Lawwell was part of that plan or had to stay and do that or wanted to see it to 10 and then retire. But it's not went to plan, so.
I know, it's sad.
I think it's very, it's the fact that I think we were all absolutely, I say, Lisa, be honest with you, I think I says it 5 in a row, 10's a certainty, it's a certainty, and it's come back to bite me in the bum, you know what I mean? But I generally do think that obviously Brendan Rodgers left for a reason. People say that he was this or he's that. Listen, he was, but see when you take a step back now, you can maybe realise why he left. There was obviously I don't know if you watched, I don't know if you go on Celtic rumours, I don't know how reliable they are, but they were saying, suppose if in the first few weeks of Rodgers been there, he was already like, what's happening here? The Lawwell and trying to get in about things. And I think his wee dig there last week, I think his press conference basically saying, I didn't sign all the players.
Really?
Basically, he was basically making a wee dig at Law. Basically saying Celtic need a...
Quite sad that, isn't it?
It is. He was basically saying Celtic need a sporting director, a director, very, very urgently. It's Celtic need to have one. He's basically saying...
One thing we don't have.
And I think that's something that we've spoken about on here with Robert, that it's maybe we need to go with the times, and it maybe is something that we need to try out.
I think that'll change this season. Well, next season, sorry.
Because if that's a guy, Rodgers, his statures saying that, and he obviously knows what went behind the scenes at Celtic. If he's saying that, that's him. That's for my dialogue. That's him basically saying, I didn't sign every player in that squad. Which for me, a club at Celtic is not good enough.
Aye, with a manager like Brendan Rodgers, no, you can't do that.
Sure, when Fred signed, they were talking about Fred, Marvin's Fred, and he goes, what do you make of the boy? And he went, don't know anything about him. Couldn't tell you anything about him. He turned in and told you that in the interview. He said, I've no secret. So I think that and the McGinn deal and the rest of it, just he'd had enough in, because if he failed in Scotland through signings that wasn't his, and his reputation was going to be tarnished. You know what I mean? I think he wouldn't have been able to get another job in England if he failed in Scotland. So I think that's probably another reason why he left.
Don't blame him for leaving.
Nah, I don't blame him either. But part and parcel of football, innit? Don't get too attached to anybody.
Oh no.
Attached to the badge in the front, not the name in the back.
That's it.
And obviously as well, Lisa, I want to get your thoughts on this first, and I'll go to Robert. I know we've touched on it, but obviously it's a pandemic nearly, and obviously there's a lot of other things happening in the world apart from playing football. But obviously there's a few questions for people want me to ask as well about the COVID situation with Rangers. I've not really spoke about it myself to anybody about it, so it's good to get a wee chat about it. Obviously, you don't want to dig out other teams because this isn't a football kind of conversation. This is more than football. This is general life. And ball and golly, just go back to that situation. He went to Spain without us knowing. He came back, he got tested, played, but again he was tested, and it was back newspapers, front page, all your Twitter, your it was Celtic get absolutely lambasted. And again, Celtic get the brunt of it. I think he got a lot of games banned. He got fined with the club, dealt with SFA, and Celtic, that really kicked off their season really to where it's been. And then they've had a few indices where we don't even know if it's been even mentioned in the press. Obviously, you see photos on Twitter and Facebook. Again, we all know you can get Photoshop, so you don't want to believe everything you see. But by the outset, there's been more than 5 players at parties, and there's been this happening. And this one for me has really been the big thing. Internal investigation. When have you ever seen anything like that, but internal investigation?
No, exactly. And then these players are coming on last weekend and scoring. It's a kick in the teeth to us. Definitely is.
Because obviously we can't go to the pub. You can't go and see your family. You can't go and meet your pals for a coffee. Obviously, people will do it anyway, but for the guidelines, you can't do a lot of stuff. You can't. Some people have not seen their mum and dad for a long time, their families, but they can go to a party, go to training, and then go and play again.
And then they're heroes when they're scoring.
But then you've got Nicola Sturgeon notion about it.
I don't understand this at all. It's as if when Ball and Goalie did it, COVID was scary and nobody knew what was happening, and he got hounded out the country. But now everything's all right. Everything's a lot calmer. We're coming out of it, and I don't get why there is one rule for one and one for another. I mean, Rangers fans wanted us to be docked points and what have you, and then these players are coming on last weekend. It's beyond belief. That is. There's not much. I don't really take much to do with them, and I don't know much about them. But
because you know, in general sense, I don't know if it's maybe Celtic should maybe be speaking up maybe about this, because I think when it comes to this season, especially this season, when things are happening, they don't just own the park, even after the park. They tend to just take a back seat and then they just put a wee statement out, and that's it.
But see, that's where I think Lennon was good for us. He always spoke up for things that he believed.
I see, as much as he got a lot of flack for his rant after Dubai, I did agree with parts of it, and I think he was right in what he says, but I think it was because of the way it came across. I think people thought he was very aggressive and angry, but I think he was just annoyed. And obviously, talking about this, because as well, Celtic, suppose in Dubai, had to get all these different buses to the training ground and whatever else, right? Aberdeen had one bus in Celtic last week.
No, I know.
So again, even in us in general life, we don't know the proper guidelines. Some people might be in their motors when they shouldn't be. We don't know. Us as fans, but you know the proper guidelines because they've been filmed out as if left, right, centre. So
we can't get to the games, but you can go to a party and everything's fine.
So for me, I really, Robert, this isn't just about Celtic Rangers. This is about a world pandemic. This is about health and everybody else. It can affect. They went to a party, then I don't believe for a minute that they've went to a party and no one elsewhere.
Party they've went to now.
What I mean?
This is since now parties, early West End, and that's just who you know about. Let's be honest.
I mean, it wasn't just us; it was affected. Aberdeen were as well.
Yeah. And Aberdeen get the same as us. All the back news, front news, they're terrible. And all they did was good as a team for a few beers and something to eat. Which is harmless, they're in a bubble. But I do agree with you, at the time, it was at the peak, and I totally understand why we did get what we did. But
this peak still, there's more folk dying now than there was back in that peak. It was just scarier back then.
But I don't want to I don't want to seem bad mouthing anybody, Robert, but is it because I got to win the league now that it's all right?
Yeah. Well, Ryan, they're the only club in Scotland that doesn't use the NHS's track and trace and system. They use a private firm, which a director of the club owns, and they've only had one case, and it's Hollander. You try to tell me they've got the least COVID cases of any club in Britain, but they only want to use a private firm in Scotland. So how are they allowed to do that? That's bending rules. That's bending rules, if you ask me.
As I say, it's
that's about to happen.
Aye, but this isn't about us being Celtic fans or Commander. This is just in general life, and it's that's not a good. See this as well. Gerrard came out months ago. I can't mind what it was he was talking about, but he says that an internal investigation is like marking your own homework. That's what he says. But no, it's all right to mark your own homework because because he knows. I generally think, obviously you've seen WhatsApp's fine, but I generally think he must have been shitting himself. For what could have happened, because one player you can go, right, okay, one player, he's not trained to the squad.
Let's back to here, Ryan. They've been at 2 house parties, right? Out of the 2 house parties, you try to tell me it was only Jordan Jones and Ed Munson, whatever the fuck the cunt's called. How has there not been one of the first 11 players been at any of these house parties? Is it just fucking reserve players and the bench players that go to these parties? Do they know mix with?
They're thinking in these first team players. I don't get it.
And then there was the other 5, and there wasn't one Tavernier, there wasn't one Scott Arfield. They've flung people under the bus and set them out to die because there's no way there wasn't any other players in around their areas or round about their parties. You can't tell me the first 12 or 11 players that play with Rangers, 13 players that play every other week weren't at any of the parties. There's no danger. They've gave guys, like the young boys and that, they went, look, yous are going to have to take the dairy for this. We'll fling yous under the bus. It'll look good. We'll make it in the press that yous are hurrah. We'll give yous a big fucking investigation. Yous are bad. We'll have yous back in it. Yous have done one for the club. 100% they have. There's no danger that Morelos or Tavernier or Arfield or Hollander or Goldson wasn't in any of the parties. You don't think that's been a set-up, Ryan?
I can agree with you, mate. I can agree with you. Because there was footage as well in the summer with Morelos and Jordan Jones in the nightclubs and all that, and you're like, come on, man, that was in the papers. Again,
first one was Scott Arfield's birthday party.
Aye.
Well, why was he not for his birthday party, but the other ones were? Come on.
Again, the point I'm trying to get across to anybody that's watching, anybody else listens to it, this isn't about Celtic and Rangers. This is about people's lives. They're going to parties. They're probably to Tesco the next day and get their shot and they're a hangover. Then they're maybe training. The thing with Hollander, Robert, for me is a big thing. I can remember that it was leading up to Falkirk. It was a Scottish Cup game, and they tested positive. And it was the day before or the morning before. He's trained that full week, probably. He's trained that full week. So how did the other player self-isolate if he's trained with him all week? Don't just that. I understand you've got to be in a vicinity and how I don't really understand the guidelines of how you need to isolate. I really don't, because every week it chop changes. But when it comes to it, Robert, I just this season I see the mayor. I'm getting older now and I realise, was 10 in a row going to happen? Was it? Because obviously the referees have been listening for no penalties. Listen, that's a record. See if they go all season without a red card and a penalty and they make decisions after the games. For me, Robert, I'm not wanting to say referees are not doing their job properly and they're not trying because they're professionals and that's their job. But it's just something not right, and this season is maybe kind of highlighted it even more.
Yeah.
There's some very, very strange decisions, right? I've already spoken about them numerous occasions. I don't want to get too much into it because as a football club, we should have been better all round. So we don't want to say the referees have done nothing. But if we were neck and neck with him and these decisions were happening, then I'd be screaming for the rooftops. I'd be going, this is an absolute fucking disgrace. But we've gave them the upper hand with being shite ourselves, so we can't dive too far into it. But some very, very strange decisions this season.
It's been very. It's frustrating knowing that they'll be very good on the park, and then you see that as well, and it's nothing to do with Nicholas, doesn't it? Like I don't really. She's got a hard enough job they're playing to do, but surely she totally lambasted us right in front of the national press, saying Celtic this, Celtic that. If Celtic do it again, football isn't a red card, but Rangers do it, everything's all right. It's. As I do agree, you know, but you don't want to delve too much into it. But it's just frustrating when it's in the day. It's people's lives. It's people's livelihoods at stake.
That's frustrating. That's definitely what it is.
It's obviously. Listen, I've got to take my hat off to them in a way because they're doing well. They're unbeaten the league. They've done well, but it's just frustrating for us, Lisa. That I agree what you say when you first come on, that we've not played to what we should be playing.
Definitely haven't.
It's been it's just, again, I don't know what your thoughts on the actual recruitment side. We spoke about it a lot on this, that they go off the ball and golly and then no really replacing the guys who we've lost.
Aye.
Bring in Shane Duffy. I don't know what your thoughts on, obviously, Shane Duffy is another one to bring out. He's failed miserably. We thought he was a belter. I don't know what you thought when he first came in. How was your thoughts about him signing?
Aye, when he first came in, obviously everybody was excited, and he's a Celtic man. And his first 2 games he scored. Was it his first 2 games or his first 3?
Yeah.
Aye. So we all loved him, but I don't know. I think it's the pressure's got to him more than anything. I don't think he's a bad footballer. I don't. But when he's like, I'm talking about everything that's getting put on Twitter, he's going to go in and see all that. It's quite heartbreaking when you think that folk have got to. I mean, you know, I don't know if you've ever had abuse on Twitter before, and it's not nice. So for him to go in there and see thousands of folk slating him every week, your confidence is going to be shot to bits.
Because obviously, well, we were talking before we came on about obviously the Shane Duffy thing. Obviously, you get a bit of abuse on Instagram, and because of the account they deleted, the police on Instagram and Sky Sports have come out today basically saying there's going to be any action. For me, it's absolutely disgusting. How are they going to try and eradicate and get racism and sectarianism and get abuse and bullying out of football if I'm not going to act upon it, Lisa?
Well, look at Neil Lennon, what he suffered for years.
Because
it was swept under the carpet.
Oh, but it's because he's no black. They don't see it as racism.
I agree with that.
And as racism, it's the same thing with James McLean.
I feel the exact same. If that was a black person, I've nothing against black people. I actually quite like black people, if you ask me. But I feel they concentrate on racism, but the only racism they concentrate on is Black Lives Matter. Yeah. Every life matters in that sense, where it's a white Protestant, white Catholic, Jewish person, Pakistani, black person. You can't just racism. You know what I mean? But Black Lives Matters, and I'm all for it. But what about a white Catholic in Britain that gets abused with Shane Duffy, Neil Lennon? Are they just to accept it? And now, because they're no black skin, then they've just, it doesn't really matter as much.
But I think that's the thing as well. I think James McLean's a big thing about it, and I think his wife's been talking about it quite a bit, saying she's had abuse for it, and it's ridiculous. It's the same as Shane Duffy, people were talking about it. I think it was something to do with his dad, Lisa. Obviously, his dad passed away, and see what person actually. Listen, we all for 90 minutes we hate Rangers, right? We hate this and right, but
you hate them on the park.
But why would you? It's the fact that somebody goes to their phone to write that stuff, and they wouldn't say it facially. So why would you write it on a phone?
But then that Twitter's horrible for that. It is. Twitter's great for a lot of things, but so many folk hide behind a phone, hide behind a fake profile, and they're allowed to say what they want. It's horrible.
Did you see the age of the wee boy that done it?
No.
he was about 13 or 14. And
That's
Sammy James McLean, 13 or 14, and he says he was going to burn the house down with his family in it. McLean's like, what the fuck? And this people's only 13 or 14. How can that wee boy at 13, 14 have so much hate and anger in him?
I know.
Is that bad parenting? Or is he just, I don't know,
That's bad parenting.
Educated for a young age? That needs to be...
But it's definitely something I think it's got to get looked at more. How I know that they're all over Sky and they're saying we need to get racism, and then in Scotland it's negative sexism, but they're only going to get it out if they act on it. For me, that's if I was Shane Duffy, I would honestly have to take that further, because that's honestly the same as James McLean. Just because he doesn't wear a poppy or he doesn't do this, nobody's got any divine right to whatever you decide is your opinion. Nobody's got a divine right to say you're right or you're wrong. We've all got opinions, as I like to say. We've all got a free speech, supposedly anyway. We've all got a free speech, but nowadays you say something, you get shut down. But if you believe something, then you believe in it. And for me, I don't want to talk too much about it because I know it's a touchy subject with some people. But when it comes to Shane Duffy, I think that decision today for Instagram, no deal with it.
That's bad.
I know it's a deleted account, but surely there must be some way you can.
Oh, of course.
It's through an email address, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shut down the email address. You can trace it right.
The IP, there's always a way you find that. That's a lot of rubbish, that.
It's just another civil note, and obviously how he's been the last kind of year with Celtic, and that's happened to him. I understand, Lisa, what you're saying. That's just going to even put him down even more. His confidence even more. And again, that's what we spoke about as well, Lisa, with Sam Wardrobe, that it says fans don't understand to be good on the park, you've got to be good off the park. So if you're arguing with your girlfriend or your missus, or if you're gay, your man, whatever, if you're arguing with him off the park, it could affect you on the park.
Of course it does, because they're human beings. It's like, that's what a lot of folk forget. These guys are human. They're missing their families. Like, look at El Hamid. They slated them until they seen how he was with his wee boy when he got off the plane.
He was overjoyed.
Missed his wife, he's missed his kids. There'll be a lot of folk like that.
Definitely. Especially in a pandemic.
But then again, that's what we're talking about as well. El Hamid didn't settle here. And that goes back to maybe having guys in to help them settle, because obviously these guys will get in all the city through the players, but these guys need to settle in, and they need time to actually get used to being around. Obviously, nobody should be getting abused, but if you play with Celtic Rangers, most of the time you're suspected, depending where you walk about in the town or where you walk about in Glasgow, you're going to get abuse, but it's not going to get eradicated if they don't deal with it.
No, and that's true.
It's in it, Robert. It's something, obviously, I know it's a touchy suspect, but it's something that I think a lot of people nowadays, they're getting windy, and it's definitely got to get out of football, because if it doesn't get brought out the new, it's just going to carry on get worse.
Oh, it's not going to. It's not going for years.
You'll never eradicate it, but social media can do better things to help it. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anybody that does it like that should be just banned. It should be reported, banned, and then they'll not have their social media to go and do it. It's as simple as there should be obviously strategies in place for these people that have done it. There should be things like, say a wee guy's done it once or twice, then once, you can get banned for a certain amount, and then the next time, just that's it, deletes full accounts. You'll not be able to go on Twitter and Facebook and do that, because a lot of them are just wee keyboard gangsters. A lot of them wouldn't say boo to anybody in the street.
Nah, I'd like to see them do it with their face on their profile.
Aye, they're just wee cowards, and these wee guys have nothing better to do with their time than abuse people on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Jack the lads are wee hard cunts. Let's be honest.
And obviously, and a wee touch of a biting note, Lisa. Going forward, obviously the rest of the season's a bit of damn scrub now, but it's just about maybe getting some pride and try to build for next season. Who, obviously going forward next season, the manager situation, I know you're a fan of Lennon. Who would you obviously like? Obviously, I've mentioned a few names, but if you had to pick a name and that was a guy, who do you think going forward would you like to see come in? And obviously, how we go on towards next season to qualifiers, we need to stop being slow to prepare and prepare quickly.
Yeah. I'd like to see Eddie Howe coming in. Big name. Like you were saying, maybe we wouldn't get somebody quite as prolific as him, but we need somebody who's no Celtic minded. I think we need somebody who can separate themselves. Like Neil Lennon, obviously, he was a Celtic man, taking everything to heart, and obviously, like you're saying, when he's getting angry at things like that. We need somebody who can take a step back for all that and fresh ideas, like coming in and just because we need a clear out, a big clear out. Like there's too many dead bodies playing in there. All that.
I actually we've spoken about Robert. It's definitely a lot of. It needs to be stripped back to structure and a lot of fresh meat. Should I say it in a way? Just total freshness, because it has got a bit stale.
When there's a lot of players that's been there too long that are comfortable in the surroundings, right? As I says, you can look at Lee Griffiths, Beaton, players like that, been there too long and probably just happy to just plod along. And I think they're no decent players, but we maybe need somebody coming in from outside to look at a different way and saying, well, he's on 12 grand a week. He's all right, but I can get better for 12 grand a week type of thing. As I say, a new freshness coming in. I think there'll be quite a big fire sale in the summer. I just hope we'll get the right manager in place and he's identified signings anew for us to, right, we're getting rid of blah, 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 but then we're replacing them with blah, blah, blah. I don't know who, but that's the sort of thing we're going to need.
That person's going to need to come in and spend time with these players and realise that they do need to go.
Aye.
And it needs to be, obviously, somebody needs to come in before the season ends. That's...
Well, you're hoping the work's done behind the scene and the guys sitting watching. That's what you're hoping. But with Celtic, it'll probably be fucking end of June. Start of July, then it'll be qualifiers with Beaton at the back for the fourth year running. And this is a carry on that you're going to have. This is a thing, Lisa, I said the other day. Don't know what you think of this. We sell Edward, right? In the summer, and we've not got a replacement. You've got a Yeti who's no firing all cylinders. You've got Griffiths, mental health issues, and Polish Paddy could be our strike force next year. So, what in it?
But would you be quite happy to keep Eddie for next season? Or would you like to cash in on him?
I would love to keep him, but I don't think we will keep him. It's as simple as that. I think he's gone. There was links in the paper the day saying there's more or less Arsenal are right interested and they're talking that Celtic will deal at 22 million. That was the papers. You take that with a pinch, but that's what they're saying.
It's a shame that we will never ever. We'll never that we deserve for players. Just because
obviously as well we've got Bio as well, Robert. A guy in the live, Perry, the live team was saying your Bio through in. For me, I'm not going to consider Bio. I've seen enough of him for 3 or 4 games. He's playing me to lose. He's not really got a start for Toulouse properly. He's not really cemented his place in the team. This is just my opinion. He's only got a few goals for Toulouse. He can't get a permanent game all the time. I know there'll be injury, but that's in La Liga 2. It's not the best of leagues. Could he come up and play next year? I don't know. Maybe under a better manager, that maybe he could be a target man that we're looking for all along. I don't know. But for me, it's a no.
No.
Kamala, I'm still willing to give him a bit of time because I like his movement. He's full of energy. I think maybe with a better manager, because he is still young and he's only 20 into 21. So maybe a better manager could actually get him in the right areas and finishing. I don't know, but Griffiths for me, we spoke about Lisa with Robert that hands down he's the best finisher on his day. His left foot's a blonde, brilliant, an absolute thunderbolt. But I think maybe the outside influence for his life is obviously it's for a lot of people these days when lockdowns and mental health's a big issue. But I think that's when obviously maybe a new manager comes in and says, listen, we've had it hard here, maybe it's time to go to pastures new. Again, we don't know who's going to come in, so he could come in and get Griffiths fit again and we will be happy because we all know Griffiths is brilliant.
But it's not just back, it's off the park. With Griffiths, because he always produces on the park.
Aye, that's true. Again, I think this season he's got 6 or 7 goals. He's not really played a lot, so he is a goal scorer. We all know that. But from my opinion, with Robert, if it's 20-22 million, I don't know if that's through PSG having a sell-on clause. So then you're maybe only getting 16, 17 or something. So would I take it? Would I rather keep him free? I really don't know. I think that's maybe why it's good I'm not a manager, because I don't really know. I'd love to keep him. Same with Chris Ayer. I'd like to give him a new deal and maybe say, listen, maybe say, listen, he's 1 more good year. He's one more year this rebuild. Do well, get us a league, get us back into Europe, hopefully, and we'll sell you on. But obviously on Europe, I'll get your thoughts on this, Lisa, the last wee bit, and then when they're there. Do you think, it's a comment for JP in the live stream, he says, do you think we maybe need to take a hit in Europe this year to get us back into the league and get us kind of rebuilt, or do you think we just need to rebuild? No, we need to get into Europe.
No, definitely Europe. I mean, we've took a hit in Europe this year and look at us. No, we definitely need Europe's a big thing for us, and it's no, we can't dismiss something like that. Definitely no, especially when we're no, it's not going to be 10 in a row.
And it obviously as well, we don't know how long the pandemic and obviously no fans is going to happen. So I think as much money as we can, Robert's only going to benefit us.
Yeah.
Certainly, we can't take a hit in Europe. We're not the greatest in Europe, but we've got to try our best and at the very least get the Europa League group stages.
I know.
The very least.
The Rangers with our draws.
It's worth about 10, 11 million, and in the middle of a pandemic, I mean, that's a lot of money to us, let's be honest. So, no, we've got to, at the very least, qualify for the Europa League. I don't think we'll qualify for the Champions League. I think that's, even if we'd win the league,
too far away.
I wasn't confident in qualifying, but I think whoever wins the league next year goes straight into the Champions League for Scotland. Is that right?
Really?
I don't know if that's next year. Next year?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's confirmed, but
after.
I think it's round about it. It's going to happen against you anyway.
Aye, so
that'd be a big thing for us. I mean, the qualifiers
you've got to spend big and gamble. If that's, I think it's this year coming on next year. I can't really remember, but whatever it is, we need to guarantee we win. I'm not saying guarantee because nothing's ever guaranteed, but we need to fling everything in the kitchen sink at it to win that league that year to make sure.
Everything we can do.
35 million.
I totally agree with you. I think next year we'll be the one thing in the kitchen sink, because I don't know what you think the Rangers side at Lisa, but obviously for me, they've had 2 or 3 pre-contract signs and I'm signed. They've all been free transfers, so that's telling me they will need to sell to buy players, because we already know financially they're not the best. I know they're going to win the league this year, but this is why it's another kick in the teeth, because if we win the league this year, I generally think they would have been close to getting it again.
They would have been, definitely.
Because you've seen their accounts. The accounts don't lie. Rangers fans can say what they want. We've got this, we've that. Your accounts tell you you've got nothing.
Aye, they've got nothing.
They've lost, what is it?
It's
over £18 million they've lost since they came back up or something. Oh, and losses.
Not enough.
That's all right for like Man United to survive that, because they're getting they're a global club. We're maybe worldwide, but they're global and I think they're the biggest club in the world. I think Man United, so they've always got merchandise. They've got all this income, and they've got they've got already guys on their board that can help them with this money. We've only got a few guys in the board and some the fans' money, so it's a hard one to kind of to go with it.
It is.
Because obviously, especially because of where we are now, every penny to us now, Roberts, as much as we're no skint, it shows you we've still got, I think it's 18 million, whatever it's in the bank, but that's obviously go to the end of the season and other things, because we'll not be selling players at the end of the season and there might not be any fans. So,
and then it'll take tickets next season as well.
Again, we don't know when next season is going to come in, so any money we can get, if it is through transfers or through Europe or whatever else, it's going to be vital to us, Robert.
100%. That's why I feel the manager is the most important bit of business we'll do in the summer. We need to get that right. Get that right, then I think it could be a domino effect. If you get the manager right, other things will happen alongside it. As I told you before, a good manager with a good name will attract good players. That's another thing. I don't feel a lesser manager will have as much of a pull to pull players in. I just hope to fuck it. We're in the background operating 24/7, and it's all going to come out soon that what the plan is, because I hate this no known, and I feel because the season's a damp squid, it's just dragging on and dragging on, and I just want it done with it, to be honest with you. I've had enough of it.
Had enough.
As it's just, you're watching the game with no emotion, you know what I mean? Whether you score or whether you concede, you're just like,
I know.
bad. That is bad.
With nothing to...
You're just wanting something to look forward to next season. Obviously, because we can't go to games, you're getting frustrated because you can't go, and this is maybe why some fans maybe have turned similar to Lennon, because you can't. There's no other way to vent your frustration apart from social media, and as we've spoke about, it can be a bad thing. But I agree with Robert that we've got to just get. It's got to be somebody. I like to think the guy Mackay's doing a lot of work behind the scenes, because, as you says, this season the communication has been shambolic. We don't know nothing, and I think we've been left in the dark quite a bit, and we're still left in the dark about obviously the review, which wasn't a review. So we've not really had any clarification or anything this season, Lisa.
It's bad.
It's very hard to. It's hard to sum up when you're seeing when one need to buy Lisbon Lion chocolate, one need to buy this, the one need to buy that. You're getting emails for last week saying 25% off clothing, and then now they're going to start. I think you know yourself, Lisa, they're going to start saying soon the news are coming out, and I think we spoke about it later, but they've got to have a manager in place for season books, because if there's no manager in place, people will, I'm not going to pay £600 to somebody who I don't know who's coming in.
Definitely. What's your take on that, Lisa? Do you feel that it's crucial that they let us know soon for the renewals?
Of course it is. What's galling me the news is, like, we're paying £600 to watch this, and everybody's getting a better streaming. Is it his goal?
Aye.
It's like, what are we paying this money for?
Yeah.
Aye. We need a manager, and we need. You've seen yourself on Twitter focusing that they're not going to renew.
I know. I get the stuff for the Celtic Association quite regularly when I'm meeting with Peter Lawwell, and they asked him the question on what they thinks, and he says there's 40,000 people regularly on the stream and there's no many complaints, so it's only few and far between. And he says, but the fans expect more. For their money, they expect more entertainment, they expect more things happening. He went, no, we feel it's good enough. But the questions they asked Peter Lawwell, he body served everyone, manager situation, he blamed COVID and everything, COVID's fault for the world, and Celtic was the hardest hitting. And I mean, I sent some of the stuff to Ryan, and I'm just like, I shouldn't, because I'm not meant to, right? But the guy's just, he's all right coming out in the press when we're and he's happy to answer questions and that. But when things are going sour, he's nowhere to be seen.
Oh, he doesn't want bad man, does he?
Question that's been flung at him for the supporters, which is quite terrible.
That's bad for him.
It's just kind of typical of the full season. It's just epitomised how we've been the full season. on the park, we've been quite quiet. After the park, we've been quiet. Just in general, we've had a bit of car crash this season. But again, Lisa, thanks for coming on and sharing your views, and it's been good to have you on. And again, Robert, good to have you on as well, mate. Hopefully, Lisa will get a wish and we'll get somebody decent in the door and get the title back.
Hope so. We'll get back in.
Again, thanks for your time, Lisa. Robert, thanks again. Hail. And this is the end of this episode and Shout Out for our podcast. We'll be back about Sunday, Monday after the game on Sunday. Thanks a lot for your time, and I'll see you later on. Hail.
Hail.